Imagine you are standing in a forest, but you cannot see the trees. All you see is a path, perfectly paved, stretching into a horizon that never seems to get any closer. You are told that if you walk fast enough, if you push hard enough, you will eventually reach the clearing. The sun will come out, the air will be still, you will be free. But here's the uncomfortable truth you aren't supposed to notice. The path isn't designed to take you to the clearing. The path is a treadmill, and the faster you run, the more power you generate for a machine you don't own. We are told that busyness is a badge of honor. We wear our exhaustion like a medal. If we aren't stressed, we aren't striving. If we aren't grinding, we are falling behind. But have you ever stopped to ask why the most productive society in human history is also the most anxious, the most indebted, and the most tired? The system does not want you to be lazy. It also does not want you to be free. Freedom is dangerous. Freedom means you have enough. And someone who has enough is someone who can no longer be controlled. The system needs you to stay busy. It needs you preoccupied, tired, and just successful enough to keep the engine running, but never successful enough to walk away from it. Welcome to the invisible architecture of the modern world. Most people wake up every morning with a sense of urgency they can't quite explain. It's a low-level hum of anxiety. It tells you that you're missing something. A deadline, a promotion, a trend, a lifestyle. We've been sold a very specific lie, that the opposite of busy is lazy. This is a clever psychological trap. By framing the conversation this way, the system ensures that you view any moment of stillness as a failure of character. If you aren't doing something, you are losing. But look around. Everyone is doing something. Everyone is working more hours than ever. We have tools that were supposed to save us time: instant communication, automation, artificial intelligence. Yet we have less time than our ancestors did. The problem isn't that we are unproductive. The problem is that our productivity has been decoupled from our well-being. We have become incredibly efficient at tasks that don't actually move the needle on our personal freedom. We misunderstand what the system is. It's not a secret room of men in suits. It's a collection of incentives. The economy needs consumption. Consumption requires income. Income requires labor. But for this cycle to grow, it needs you to want more tomorrow than you wanted today. If you ever feel truly satisfied, the cycle breaks. Therefore, the system must ensure you are never satisfied. It keeps you busy so you don't have the time to realize that the things you are chasing are often the very things keeping you trapped. It's a sophisticated form of behavioral engineering. You are given just enough dopamine through notifications, raises, and social validation to keep you in the race. But the finish line is a ghost. It moves every time you get close to it. To understand why you feel like you're running in place, you have to look at the mechanics of the modern economy. It's built on a foundation of planned obsolescence, not just for your phone, but for your life. In a traditional sense, a tool is something you use to complete a task so you can stop working. A hammer helps you build a house. Once the house is built, you put the hammer down. But modern economic tools are different. They are designed to create more tasks. Think about your email. Think about your productivity apps. They don't help you finish, they help you manage an infinite stream of demands. The system operates on a logic of perpetual growth. If a company doesn't grow, it dies. If an economy doesn't grow, it collapses. And since you are a unit of that economy, you are expected to grow your output indefinitely. But you are a biological creature. You have limits. The system, however, is mathematical. It doesn't have limits. To bridge the gap between your human limits and the system's infinite demands, the system uses debt. Debt is the ultimate busyness generator. When you take on debt, whether it's for a house, a car, or an education, you aren't just borrowing money. You are borrowing your future time. You are pre-selling the next 10, 20, or 30 years of your life. Once you are in debt, you lose the ability to say no. You cannot stop. You cannot pivot. You cannot reflect. You must stay busy because the interest never sleeps. The system doesn't need you to be a slave in chains. It just needs you to have a mortgage and a high credit card balance. The effect is the same. You become a reliable, predictable gear in the machine. Let's look at the math of the busy trap. It's a simple equation that most people ignore until it's too late. Imagine your life as a vessel of time. Every day, you have 24 units. The system claims 8 for work and 8 for sleep. That leaves you with 8. But within those 8, you have the maintenance of your life. Commuting, cleaning, eating, and recovering from the first 8. In reality, most people have about 2 hours of free time a day. But because they are exhausted from the busyness, they don't use those 2 hours for deep thought or building freedom. They use them for passive consumption. They watch screens. They scroll. They buy things they don't need to soothe the pain of a job they don't like. This is the hidden tax on your soul. If you earn $50 an hour but spend 40 of those dollars on the lifestyle required to keep that job, the car, the clothes, the convenience food, the stress relief, you aren't actually earning $50. You are earning 10. You are trading 60 minutes of your irreplaceable life for $10 of actual freedom. When you calculate your real hourly wage, you realize that most people are barely breaking even. They are working 40 hours a week to afford the privilege of working another 40 hours next week. This is why the system loves lifestyle inflation. Every time you get a raise, the world suggests a dozen ways to spend it. A bigger house, a better car, a more expensive vacation. These aren't rewards. They are anchors. They ensure that your real hourly wage stays as low as possible, keeping you on the treadmill. The math is designed to keep you in a state of stable instability. You have enough to keep going, but never enough to stop. You are a high-performance engine running on a fuel that only the system provides. We are told that the Internet has democratized freedom. We see the digital nomads, the entrepreneurs, and the influencers living what looks like a life of leisure. They tell you to hustle now, so you can relax later. But look closer. Most of these people are busier than the office workers they mock. They are tethered to algorithms. They are slaves to engagement metrics. They have turned their entire lives, their relationships, their meals, their very thoughts, into a product. This is the hustle culture trap. It's the same system, just with a different coat of paint. It replaces the corporate ladder with a digital one. It still demands your constant attention. It still requires you to stay busy. The illusion of the side hustle is particularly clever. It convinces you that the solution to being overworked at your main job is to work even more in your spare time. It turns your hobbies into businesses and your rest into networking. We are living in an era of total work. Everything is framed as an investment. Reading a book is upskilling. Going for a walk is optimizing your health for performance. Talking to a friend is expanding your network. When everything is work, nothing is free. The system has successfully colonized your leisure time. It has convinced you that if a moment isn't being monetized or optimized, it is being wasted. But waste is exactly what the system fears. A wasted moment is a moment where you might realize you don't need what they're selling. The tragedy is that we are complicit. We check our phones at dinner. We answer emails on Sunday. We feel guilty when we sit still. We have internalized the system's requirements so deeply that we have become our own taskmasters. We don't need a boss to tell us to stay busy. We do it to ourselves. Why is it so hard to stop? Why, even when we see the gears moving, do we find it impossible to step off the path? The answer is psychological. Freedom is terrifying. Busyness serves a purpose beyond economics. It's a shield. As long as you are busy, you don't have to face the big questions. You don't have to ask if you're happy. You don't have to ask if your work matters. You don't have to face the existential weight of your own mortality. When you are busy, you have an excuse for everything. I'd love to write that book, but I'm too busy. I'd love to spend time with my kids, but I'm too busy. Busyness provides a sense of importance that masks a lack of purpose. If you stop being busy, you are left with yourself, and for many people that is a stranger they aren't ready to meet. The system exploits this fear. It provides a never-ending stream of distractions to ensure you never have to sit in silence. It offers a pre-packaged identity, your job title, your tax bracket, your consumer habits, so you don't have to build one from scratch. To be free requires a level of psychological discomfort that most are unwilling to endure. It requires the ability to be bored. It requires the ability to be unproductive in the eyes of society. It requires the courage to be left behind while everyone else is racing toward a cliff. We fail to escape not because we lack the money, but because we lack the identity. We have spent so long being busy that we don't know who we are without the noise. We are like birds who have lived in a cage so long that when the door is opened, we are too afraid of the sky to fly out. So, where does this leave you? There is no simple 5-step plan to exit the system. Anyone telling you otherwise is likely trying to sell you a seat on a different treadmill. The system is not something you can just quit. It's the water we swim in. It's the infrastructure of our survival. But there is a difference between swimming in the water and drowning in it. The first step isn't to work harder or even to work less. The first step is to see the machine for what it is. To recognize that your busyness isn't a sign of your value, but a sign of your utility to a system that doesn't care about you. Real freedom isn't about having $1 million in the bank. It's about having a small enough life that the system loses its leverage over you. It's about lowering your burn rate of both money and spirit. It's about reclaiming your time, not so you can be more productive, but so you can be more human. But this choice comes with a cost. You will be misunderstood. You will be called lazy. You will be told you are wasting your potential. You will have to watch as others surpass you in the metrics the system prizes. The titles, the toys, the status. You have to decide which is more expensive, the things you lose by stepping back or the life you lose by staying in the race. The system needs you to stay busy. It thrives on your exhaustion. It grows on your distraction. It survives on your debt. The most rebellious thing you can do, the most dangerous thing you can do, is to be still, to look at the path, to look at the clearing, and to realize that you don't have to run. But as you sit there, watching the world rush past you, a question will inevitably begin to grow in the silence. If you aren't the things you do, if you aren't the money you make, if you aren't the busy person everyone expects you to be, then who exactly are you? And are you prepared for the answer? Do you want to explore the specific psychological tactics used to keep us tethered to our desks? Or should we look at the mathematical reality of what it actually costs to buy back your time?